RTAs. Let's call to order the Troy Local Development Corporation Board of Directors meeting. This is our regularly scheduled meeting. It is September 26, 2025, 9:07 a.m. We will start with the approval of our minutes from the September 11th special meeting that we had. They are attached. Do we have any questions or comments about the minutes or motion to approve?
Just to make a comment before we make a motion to approve, that I just want to make it clear that it does reflect that the initial project resolution that was acted on September 11th does reflect a change of that authorization amount to $11.5 million.
From the 12.5 we did it in
yes.
August, great.
So I just think that's worth noting, and that is properly reflected in the minute.
Okay. Any other questions or comments, or do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. On to the Executive Director's Report. We have some ongoing project updates that Seamus will update us on.
Yeah, so as we know, for multiple meetings here, we've been discussing the lead up to some of these various actions to take that for the LDC, acquiring the former Proctor's Theater building, that will ultimately end up being the new and permanent Troy City Hall. All along, since we signed an LOI, letter of intent back in May, we've talked about these actions that are going to be coming up before the LDC board and the City Council to engage in the acquisition of the former Proctor. So this is that step, that development agreement. This still really just is, again, one other step of many that has to be taken, kind of outlining a little bit more in depth of what the milestones are, what the amount is that we're looking to spend. You'll also see that 11.5 number in this LDA as well. I apologize. And you'll see that 11.5 not to exceed number 2 that the LDC will ultimately go into tax-exempt bond market for to fund the acquisition, construction, and some of the soft costs into this project. A couple things that I just want to note, again, this builds off the LOI that we signed in May. The board, the city has been having a lot of discussions for months and months now. Just to reiterate for some of those folks that might be tuning in, we know we have thousands of people out there tuning into our YouTube here, but the city hosted, in partnership with LDC, a slew of public meetings and visits to Proctor's. We've taken some feedback from the public, the preliminary design process that's working through now. So this is something that's been being discussed now for months and months and months, better part of this year, and we've always set forth that this development agreement was going to be one of the first more formalized actions. This will lead us into ultimately closer to November, when there will be, before this board and the city council, if this is to pass today and to pass at the city council meeting next week, we would then move on to working through where there'd be a lease between the city of Troy and the Troy LDC for the new permanent Troy City Hall. You can see in here too that there's some milestones included, walking through some of the timeline. We also, at our previous meeting, declared to be lead agency for the seeker process. And just to be clear too, this development agreement is a Type 2 action. This does not require review. The actual construction, once we get closer to that part of it, that would be considered a Type 2 action. And we'll take that on as we get there. This is really just discussing some of those interim preliminary actions that have been taken too. It's been discussed, but just to reiterate again for some people that are on there, we are working with H2M, for example, here, a Troy architecture firm, as an owner rep that's going through working with Columbia and BBL that's part of what this does, so we can get through this preliminary period, a due diligence period as well. You know, hires in some folks to get through some review. This also does include a $250,000 contribution from the LDC towards this project for some of these preliminary works that also could ultimately end up being equity that goes into the bonding. And that's really all kind of the hot points of it. We still have to entertain a, you know, GMP, that guaranteed maximum price construction contract. There's still the lease that has to occur, there's still the closing, there's still the bonding, there's so plenty of steps still to be taken, but this is definitely one of the more formalized steps that we've taken so far. That's just building up to get to the finish line with this project, so it's really just a couple bullet points that I have on it.
Any other outside of Proctor's project updates?
Nothing outside of the normal. I think the update is the same from before with geothermal. We're working through that with National Grid and the PSC. A little bit of a reformatting of the strategy there, but something that we feel confident in that's going to get that to the finish line as well. We still have to talk about these small grants too, through ARPA. A couple little bit that we have left there. Danae's done a good job with that. I'm sure we'll be hearing more about that at the next meeting, but outside of that.
Okay.
The King's Fuel environmental, that was taken care of, correct? I know it was supposed to be the next day, unlike the 12th.
Yeah, and it's actually, Andrew, if you want to give an update on that, that's...
The drum was removed, however, there was leakage, and I've got a quote for...
Sorry, could you speak up? Sorry, could you speak up a little bit here?
I have a quote for the removal of contaminated soil that was underneath the drum that was not able to be seen prior to its removal. Maximum of 2 drums of dirt with replacement of clean soil and disposal, mobilization, transport, etc. Probably roughly in the $4,500 range. That would suffice to get everything complete. So approval for that expenditure would be necessary.
Do we need to do anything for an approval for that today? Or we've already pre-approved
That-
a certain amount?
Would that be within the authorization that we gave early on? I'm trying to think.
I don't remember either.
I don't think so, because
No,
we just approved doing the testing.
Right,
Oh,
the
there's the barrel removal,
So the
right?
barrel
Yeah.
removal.
Disposal was up to 5,000. This is beyond the scope. This was unanticipated
Mhm.
and only discovered after the drum. They tried to dig what they saw and put it in the overpack, but there wasn't enough capacity.
And will this be this is the final?
Yeah.
I know we love talking about these drums.
Yeah.
Well, the issue here is that essentially if you have a lot of product, when they looked at the contents of the drum, it said there was about, it seemed like a few gallons were off from the top. So a reportable spill could ensue if we don't take steps to fully remediate what discharged from the drum.
Okay.
So it just covers our regulatory requirements.
Okay. And what's the exact amount of, is it 45 even, or is it,
Well, it's anticipated they give you an estimate.
max, that's the maximum you said, okay.
So it would be another area of under 5,000 would suffice.
Yeah, I think we need to.
do we want to authorize that? I know then if we authorize up to a maximum of 4,500, I can work with Andrew on once we get some of that.
Do you want to do 45 or 5?
I like 5.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
to cover it.
Do we have a motion to authorize?
I'll make a
5,000?
motion. We need to get this behind us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All clean harbors. The can I say on the call that they must have a monopoly on this, like, who else does this work?
So that would explain the price.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Crystal Clean and, I forget the other one, but each, if it's not parity, it's been more than, Clean Harbors.
Mm.
Safety Clean and Clean Harbors are together, but Safety Clean doesn't do the hazardous.
Oh.
Clean Harbors does.
Yeah.
Safety cleans just like shops and
So
stuff.
very, very close to a
Yeah.
single
Yeah.
sole source type deal.
Yep.
Okay, that concludes the executive director's report. We
And then I'll
have,
talk.
nothing for new business, but going into old business, we have 2 items in front of us today related to the Proctor's project. We're going to start with the, development agreement. So in front of us, we have an initial project resolution of the Troy Local Development Corporation authorizing the execution and delivery of a certain development agreement in connection with a certain project, more particularly defined in the rest of the documentation, including the authorizing and the negotiation of certain documents and agreements relating to the project and related materials. This, more precisely includes, the engagement with H2M Architects and Engineers, as the owner's representative for this project, with, cost not to exceed, $250,000. There's, we have this resolution on the table. Is there any questions or comments before we, bring it to a vote?
I just want to make a comment again that just thanks again to the board, thank you to Justin, thanks, everybody else in the LDC too, Danae Friel, but, keep moving this ball forward, so.
Mhm.
So, thank you for, realizing the value in this project, what it does, for the city, and all the reasons that it will provide the residents of Troy a city hall that's permanent, not a floor, something that makes financial sense, functional sense, and can give the city some pride in where it's a home of government. We live in a city that we are such a prideful people, and we deserve a permanent home, not to be squared away up on a floor that really was never meant to stay. So, thank you for the support there.
I'm glad we found some, this has been a major point, finding an owner's rep for this and getting him to move this along expediently. So glad we're looking at this today. Anything from Mr. Ross?
I need to take some insulin.
Okay.
Sorry.
We don't have to put that in the minutes.
Put that on the record, Danae.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve this project resolution?
I will motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the land development agreement passes. We are now moving into the resolution for the acquisition and redevelopment of Proctor's Theater. This development agreement dated we're not there yet.
Yeah, the resolution just adopted, approved the LDA as well. So
Right.
They just inadvertent 2 bullets there. Which is
Yeah.
all of it, yeah, so.
But now we're into the, what would you like to cover for the rest of this section?
Well, the motion you just carried, approved the LDA, the
Yeah.
LDA is attached. It is somewhat fluid in respect to the Exhibit B, which outlines the design phase.
Mhm.
We're at a point where the schematic design is essentially complete, and those concept designs are going to be converted into design drawings and then construction drawings. That process is going to take the next 5 to 6 weeks.
I know this is expected to shift a little bit, but in the design phase and permitting, but are these dates, are we gonna need any board members for these dates for any?
Those are just internal dates for
Making
the
sure.
project team.
Okay.
Yeah, this
Because we
is
just set our
the
schedule.
board itself.
That's the only question I
The
have.
next expected round of approvals, and Seamus mentioned that earlier in the meeting, in early November, the council is going to be asked to review the draft lease and the overall bond amortization, the design drawings at that point, what the scope of the project really is conceived. At that time, as well, I think that is November 6th, and we're slotted to meet November 7th to consider a bond resolution, which will authorize the actual acquisition the actual issuance of the bonds, signing a construction contract, and then the lease to the city. And between November 7th and December 10th to 18th would be a period where we actually close.
Okay, I'm gonna try to make a point every meeting to make sure that we're still good for the next meeting, since that last week we scheduled those going forward. So, okay, so we're still on for the 6th.
Yeah, I think October 17th, that range.
Yeah.
Looking at my calendar, everything seems to be going fast.
Sorry, no, the 10th. Our next meeting is the 10th.
The 10th.
Right.
Okay, the
Apologize for that.
17th, I think you have a meeting scheduled as well.
Right.
That likely, we're targeting to look at the seeker process and potentially adopt findings. The 30-day lead agency solicitation period runs out on October 13th, and we're engaging with the involved agencies, the Planning Board, the Historic Review Board, and SHPO, to see if they have any comments.
Oh,
Yeah.
thanks, I did want to make that point too, that the notifications that are required under seeker have gone out to the city, SHPO, and, we've been engaging with SHPO, they've been walking through Proctor's, stuff like that.
They love it, apparently,
They
yeah.
absolutely love it, and have actually said that this is this is a model for historic preservation, to not just preserve a historic space, but to activate it while still celebrating its history and ensuring that it doesn't just become a forever mothball building, that it actually is activated, and that way people can enjoy it for, forever. So that was really good to hear from SHPO, and a lot of other historic folks too. Kathy Sheehan, our historian, the Don Rittners, a lot of historic folks have been going through their former staff of SHPO that are residents of the city of Troy, that they're just so intrigued by everything. And once they walk through and understand really what we're doing, we've been getting all excitement out of those folks. So that's really good. That's good to report. Thanks for reminding me of that, Justin.
And we are not set for the 24th or 31st, those Fridays, but if we need to add that, we'll be discussing that on the 10th and 17th.
So it'll be the 10th, 17th, and then potentially the 31st.
And then November 7th, and then on the regular schedule, so just recapping that. Okay.
So one thing for me from the bonds, how do we go out to market? Are we limited because we're municipal on going out to market for the bonding?
KeyBank Capital Markets is working as an underwriter and placement
I saw
agent.
that, yeah.
So they're going to do a marketing. There's a preliminary official statement, and then an OS official statement that'll go out.
Okay.
They're going to price in mid-November with the December close.
Okay. So we're okay.
All those steps are being taken. So the underwriter's working with the city controller and the city's financial advisor. The official statement and the POS are going to have the city's finances in there, and it's really the city credit that is the rent. But they look at, and they'll rate the bonds based upon the city's liability, which is good. The city's got a great rating.
We're doing good. The city's last round of bonding received, lower interest rates than we even have before. Still maintaining that high credit rating, and kind of even as we keep moving forward, doing even better and better, which is great. So it provides another great opportunity here too. But it's great to see how solid we are in finances and in credit ratings. And yeah, it's the city, when it goes to bond market, typically utilizes a consultant firm that's been with the city for a long time, Fiscal Advisors. I got them engaged in this as well from the city end, and which offers another bit of comfortability, because that's who we work very closely with when we go to the bond market, once or twice a year on the city end of it. Very familiar with everything with the city, so having him on board, helping as well with our KeyBank folks is great.
What a relevant transition to our financials, like this is old business, what a relevant transition into our financials and budget discussion.
It's not my first rodeo yet.
Our first report is the state of financial position. As of August 31st, we had total assets of $3,605,264, with $498,579 of that cash. The total liabilities of
$1,032,420, which left us with a fund balance of $3,571,834. There's a notion that we change the statement of financial position for the month of August. And lastly, we have the statement of activities. For the month of August, we ran a deficit of $14,417. Our most significant source of revenue was the pilot reimbursement, state base, and then the largest expense within our grants.
Now, what ran it into, what was the 14, was that to run into a?
The largest was just the 50,000 of the grants for the community business.
Okay.
And yeah, my normal monthly grant, pilot reimbursement, but that one-time
Just the
grant.
standard, okay, that's what I wanted to just make clarify. Okay, thank you.
Before we go into budget discussion, do we have approval of the monthly financial statement?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, budget discussion. What do you got for us?
So, this is a rough draft of the budget, so we're not looking for approval today. Just felt it before, I had numbers for the whole project, Proctor, so this does not include any of that. And then I also have an update sheet with the breakdown where things are. Still working on the charge and service number. We're doing today on that. For rent, we have our normal South Troy site, annual Eastern County waste for roof repair, national grid, and solar. That's an earnings, is just interest in the bank account. Federal grants, state grants, that's our third department money, we're just getting final numbers based on what we've received this year versus what we still have left outstanding. Non-operating revenues are the pilot reimbursements for the county waste pilot. Professional service contracts include legal notices, management expenses, legal expenses, accounting for monthly accounting services of the audit, and architectural engineering. Other operating expenditures include insurance, depreciation, and then the pilot payments for county waste and free lot. Payment on the principal bonds. That's the bug loan for 161, which will be the last payment for that. And also, I put in the repayment of the working capital loan. I know it was discussed that it might be done at the end of 126, so I just wanted to include that. And then the 8,600 is just the interest on the HUD loan.
So this is the last year of the HUD loan, right?
Correct.
Thank God.
That's a good thing.
And with your house, it
Yeah.
seems like it's been longer.
It's been longer. As the old guy here.
How long have we had those, was it 20-year payback?
I think
2006 or 7, the HUD
Yeah,
loan
close,
closed,
yeah,
yeah, so we're hitting the
20
20
years.
or 6,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
get,
So I will defer to Justin and Seamus for any notes they have on this, because I saw Justin furiously writing on
I've
that.
got some scribbles,
Got
yeah.
some scribbles.
This is a good framework to start. The budget, which is due November 1, will evolve to include the Proctor's redevelopment project. Bonds will be issued this year, and there'll be, bond proceeds spent this year for acquisition and closing. And then there'll be a project fund in 2026 to pay down all of those revenues. So on top and bottom for revenues and expenditures, there'll be line items for that project that balance out. In addition, the NYSERDA Cat C grant, that's a bit of an update we didn't talk about a lot today, but the geothermal project's evolving a little bit. So the Cat C grant reimbursement with NYSERDA will balance out and look a little bit different. It'll be top, revenues in and expenditures out that are project specific. And then ARPA, the same thing, that's a 2026 closeout. So we're gonna show that balancing and then there'll be a $50,000, I think, retention by the LDC. We haven't realized that or booked it yet, but ultimately that ARPA management,
The admin thing?
yeah, that'll probably be, income realized next year.
Mhm.
I think we'll take that
I
down.
think
So-
that makes sense.
So all those things will be adjusted in here. There might be a projected land sale for King Fuels, at least an initial tranche, we hope. So all those things will kind of bring this back a little bit more crystallized, I think, for the October cycle to firm up so it could be sent to the state by November 1.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, we don't need any, decisions on the budget today. We'll be looking for that next one. Thanks, Matt, for the overview.
Thank you, Matt.
We're preparing a separate statement for that. Okay, on to meeting adjournment.
I'll make a motion.
I will second.